Well, welcome to week 8. We are now heading to midterm. I'll be recording your midterm grades at some point this week, getting that turned in. Hopefully you've all done test 1. I'll finish grading those beginning of the week and get those posted up for you. In terms of this week, and for the rest of the class, the way this is going to go is we're really going to roll through the rest of North America. And we're going to pick up the pace in terms of geography. We've really only done a couple of regions, obviously, at this point, but now we're really going to pick it up. And this week we start with Appalachia and the Ozarks, a region that most of you will probably have visited, at least in the Ozark, Ouachita Mountains of Arkansas, if not gone to Tennessee and Dollywood. I know probably a bunch of y'all have done that, and so you've experienced these mountains, the Blue Ridge Mountains, the White Mountains, the Green Mountains, the Catoctin, the Smoky Mountains. They all go by different names within these mountain system, this long north-south trending Appalachian mountain system. But fundamentally, they're all part of the same topographic feature, a feature that is created through folding. Folding is a tectonic process based around compression. Basically, the crust is going to get folded up as it compresses, and as it does, you get this distinct ridge and boundary look to the Appalachian and the Ozark ranges, not the tall towering peaks that you see in the Rocky Mountains. That's different. Those are created differently. But the Appalachian Mountains, this very long north-south trending mountain range, are created through processes of compression called folding. And that gives you a distinct look to these ranges. So if you've been to Dollywood in Tennessee or into North Carolina to go camping on the Appalachian Trail or anything like that, you've experienced this. The mountains themselves are not tall, towering mountains, but what you do have are valleys, and those valleys can become isolated places of settlement. My own family comes from this area, as it says in the assignment. There's a lot of stuff in this assignment about this area. A lot of you can trace your roots back to this area. Southern part of Louisiana was settled through French Catholic traditions, but northern Louisiana, yeah, much less of that. It's much more Scottish and Irish. My own background is Scottish, as it says there. Sinclair is a Scottish name. Some of you will be able to trace your lineage, your heritage back to that movement of Scottish and Irish, to the back country which continued west out of the Carolinas and Western Virginia into Tennessee, and then continued further and all the way into northern parts of Texas. So very different settlement patterns. And very different heritage than you see in the rest, for instance, of Louisiana. So think about your own background. This is an interesting part. This is part of one of the poorest parts of North America. Traditionally, that's been so, and there have been efforts to alter that through things like Tennessee Valley Authority, Dollywood, the Appalachian Trail, other efforts to basically draw this region in to the larger life of North America. And that to some extent has worked. But if you go visit, and I was just up in the mountains of North Carolina recently, and you do see some grinding poverty still. So it's a mixed bag. But this region is interesting. It's rich in coal resources, which are now on the outs, in the sense that coal is identified as a major pollution source of pollution and climate change, global warming. So coal, despite some efforts by politicians recently to say we're going to bring back coal, first off, coal is probably not coming back in a big way. In this country at least. And secondly, really the employment of people digging coal has decreased dramatically. There are very little, very relatively few people actually out there digging coal. A lot of it is strip mining, which you have some in Louisiana actually around the lignite mine that's now shutting down in the Dolette Hills of northwest Louisiana. But anyway, don't want to get too far off topic, but in terms of the Appalachian and the Ozark Mountains, these are areas of cultural interest, as I've said. There's different movies that are about this region and the poverty. And it's just an interesting part. We're going to spend this week looking at that. And you've got a forum that I want you to explore that moves outside of the textbook. Your textbook does a good job discussing this region, but the problem is one of the major factors associated with this region today is poverty is still one, and but is also the issue of opioids. I don't want to go too deep into the weeds of this. Your forum actually has some resources that I want you to look at. Nothing in depth, kind of like what we've done before, but just so you'll see that there is a huge problem here with this. And actually, the Pulitzer Prize winning book that's come out recently, Demon Copperhead, which I just read, is about and some of you might be familiar with it from an English class, I don't know, but it's about the drug problem of not West Virginia, but Western Virginia, and the opioid epidemic and how people are pulled into that world. So I'm not asking you, obviously, to read that book, but just so you be aware, this is an ongoing issue with lots of social ramifications associated with it. And so I want your forum to explore that rather than some other kind of more mundane issues. To me, that's really an interesting thing that you would want to maybe use in your own class. I mean, it's fine to talk about coal, but in the Tennessee Valley Authority and things like that, and those are important and they'll show up on your test. But in terms of some issues of social geography, the opioid epidemic is part of that. So it's really just wanted to touch base with you again. The tests I've graded so far are really excellent in large measure, and just working my way through those, but I'll finish those up shortly. If you have any questions or concerns or anything like that, be sure to message me, email me. We're rolling to the end. I mean, that's just something to keep in mind about this class. We are heading rapidly to the end, the denouement of this class will be here before we know it. So we're going to, like I said, you got your paper still due and your final exam, but which is not cumulative, just so you get that early on. It's not cumulative, but this class is going to roll right to a stopping point. We get to Thanksgiving before you know it, and then we're done. So again, if you have any questions, contact me. Look at some of the videos I posted of some music for you. Some of the songs that I like, John Denver, John Prine, and some articles and some news reports about the opioid epidemic. So let's get to this week, continue working our way through North America. If you have any questions or concerns or problems or issues or anything you want to share with me, email me. Otherwise, have a good week.